Hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Now that we have entered a ninth standard, right? So we need to study biology, physics, chemistry separately and thoroughly and deep. Till 8th standard, you have gone through all the basic concepts of science, yes, which included physics, biology, and chemistry. Now we are going to learn it in detail, the chapters which you have already studied in 8th standard as well. Some chapters are included in your 9th standard also, right? So one of the the first chapter of biology, that is fundamental unit of life. That is the first chapter in biology. So let's learn from this chapter right now. Okay. Now that I am saying fundamental unit of life. Now the word itself fundamental suggests what the unit of life is, what the cell. In 8th standard you have already come across one chapter about cell and you have learned it about the different types of cells, the organelles, etc. Right? So let's learn it in detail and have a gist about the chapter, the introductory part. Okay. So the fundamental unit of life, that is a cell. Cell, what is the definition of the cell? We all know. It is a basic, structural, functional unit of life. Right? Who invented or who termed this, who gave this term? That is Robert Hooke. In which year? 1665. Okay. So Robert Hooke in 1665 he gave the term as cell. How did he give this term as cell? By conducting an experiment, by taking a thin slice of a cork, that is the bark of the tree. Right? In a cell-designed microscope he observed this. What did he observe? It was resembled as that of a honeycomb structure. Meaning there were small compartments there, and that compartments he named it as small rooms. Further he named it as scientifically as a cell. Right? That is how we came to know about the word, the term which is known as cell. Right? The next that we have to learn is there are two types of cell that we already know. One is unicellular and one is multicellular. Uni means one, multi means many. Now unicellular, which consists of one single cell. Multicellular is organism which have multiple cells. Right? Now unicellular, what example you can give? Amoeba, paramecium, right? And in multicellular we can give ourselves, human beings, yes, cows, animals, etc. Now let's begin with the morphology of the cell. Morphology, the word itself says about the size, shape, structure, yes, the color of a particular organism. That is known as a morphology. Now when I have to be specific in terms of the size of the cell. So the size of the cell ranges from 0.1 micrometer to 18 centimeter. That is the range, particular range of the size of the cell. Now 0.1 micrometer, when I say, it is the smallest cell, that is the Mycoplasma galliseptum. And the largest, that is 18 centimeter, that is ostrichine, right? So this was about the morphology in terms of the size of the cell. Now that I have to talk about what it is about the cell theory. Now cell theory was given by the scientist whose name is Sklidden and Schwann. Now what cell theory did they give? The first point says the cell definition. That is, it is a basic structural functional unit of life, right? The second is what? All cell arise from pre-existing cell. The third is every organism is made up of cell. The fourth is every organism starts its life from a single cell. These are the four postulates which was given by the scientists Sklidden and Schwann about the cell theory, right? Next, the important concept of the chapter begins with the structural organization of the cell. Now when I talk about the cell, all the cells have different specific function. Now it may involve some exchange of materials, some may involve synthesis of materials. So there are different functions, specific function related to all the cells of the organisms. Now when I have to talk about the parts of the cell, there are four main parts of the cell. The first one is known as a plasma membrane. The second one is known as a cell wall. The third one is known as a cytoplasm. And the fourth one is known as a cell organelles, wherein there are different organelles associated with the cell. Right? I repeat, the first part of the cell is known as what? The plasma membrane. The second part is known as a cytoplasm. The third part is known as a second is known as a cell wall. The third is known as a cytoplasm, and the fourth one is known as a cell organelles. Right? The first one, let's go with the first one, that is a plasma membrane. Now plasma membrane is also called as cell membrane. It is one of the outer covering of the cell. Right? It is also called as cell membrane, and it is the outer covering of the cell. Now it is bounded to the cell of plant and animal cell as well, right? Now when it is bonded means what? It is also it is acting as an outer covering of the cell, right? Which is delicate and which is also elastic type of membrane that you can say. It is very delicate membrane, the plasma membrane. Okay. Now one of the important function of the plasma membrane is what? It allows some materials to enter and exit the cell. Now some materials which it accepts, that only it will allow, and which it reject, it will throw out of the cell. So that is what the plasma membrane does. The entry and the exit is controlled by the plasma membrane, and that is the reason the plasma membrane is also known as what? The selectively permeable membrane. Right? So it has two names. One is cell membrane and next is selectively permeable membrane. Fine? Or you can also term it as semi-permeable membrane. Okay? So this was about plasma membrane. Now there are some processes like osmosis and diffusion that we have to learn it. What is that? Osmosis is a passage of water from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration through a semi-permeable membrane or selectively permeable membrane that you can see. I repeat the definition. It is a passage of water from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration through a selectively permeable membrane, that is known as osmosis, right? Now diffusion also is same as that of osmosis, but it does not require any energy. Now means what? It is also kind of exchange of materials which requires no energy, without spending energy. What example you can take? Taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. Now when a cell is placed in a sugar or a salt solution, it has three possible conditions. One is known as isotonic solution, second is known as hypotonic solution, the third one is known as hypertonic solution. Now this is in terms of what? When a cell is placed in a sugar or a salt solution. The first is what? Isotonic solution. Iso means same concentration. Now what is the definition? The medium surrounding the cell has same water concentration as that of the cell is termed as isotonic solution. The second is hypotonic solution. The medium surrounding the cell has higher water concentration as that of the cell is hypotonic solution. The third one is what? Hypertonic solution. The medium surrounding the cell has lower water concentration as that of the cell is known as hypotonic solution. So these are the three possibilities. One is isotonic, second is hypotonic, and the third one is hypertonic solution. Correct? So these are all about the osmosis diffusion. The second part of the cell, that is what? Cell wall. Now as plasma membrane is the outer covering of the cell, so the cell wall is the outermost covering of the cell, that is of the plant cell only. Animal cell does not have a cell wall, right? So the outer covering of the cell is known as a cell wall, right? So it just lies outside the plasma membrane. Where does it lie? It just lies outside the plasma membrane. Now what is it composed of? It is composed of cellulose. What is it composed of? It is composed of cellulose. Okay, and it is a rigid outer covering. Okay, and what is the function of the cell wall? It gives shape and protection to the cell, right? Now that if we have to distinguish between a diffusion and an osmosis, the points are: diffusion, it occurs in any medium, while osmosis, it occurs in liquid medium. Diffusion, the diffusing molecules can be solid, liquid or gas, and in osmosis it only involves the movement of any solvent molecules. Okay, it only involves the movement of solvent molecules. Now if I have to talk about the next part of the cell, that is cytoplasm. It is a jelly-like structure. It is a jelly-like structure. Now where is it located? The cytoplasm is between the plasma membrane, the outer covering of the cell, and the nucleus, which is inside the cell. Okay, between that is the cytoplasm surrounded into the cell. Now what is the function of a cytoplasm? It stores some components like what? Vitamins, amino acids, glucose, etc. So I hope you have understood the concept of the cell theory, the morphology of the cell. Then we came to the parts of the cell, right? The discovery of the cell as well. Parts of the cell, which was about the plasma membrane we studied. We studied about the processes osmosis and diffusion, the differentiating point as well of diffusion and osmosis. Then we also studied about cell wall and cytoplasm. In the next video, I'll be explaining you about the next part of the cell, the important part of the cell, that is the cell organelles. Thank you.